The first trailer for Thor Ragnarok is dropped, and for less than 2 minutes of footage, it's positively loaded with intel on Marvel's latest project. From how the Incredible Hulk fits into all this, to the new big bad who looks to take out all of Asgard on her own, here's everything we learned from the first Thor Ragnarok trailer, and why we think this film will almost certainly blow us all away when it drops on November 3rd. Hela is hella powerful. Outside of Loki, villains have almost always been the weak point across the MCU. After the fairly boring Dark Elves in the Dark World, Marvel is looking to up the ante in a big way with the villain in Ragnarok. Cate Blanchett is playing Marvel's Norse goddess Hela, and she more than lives up to the title. We get our first look at Hela here, and she is positively terrifying. Blanchett looks plenty intimidating in the role, as Thor and the full might of Asgard looks to be no match for her destructive capabilities. Mjolnir destroyed. Thor's weapon of choice has been a key piece of the MCU since we first got a peek at Coulson and his S.H.I.E.L.D. team trying to mine it out of the ground in Iron Man 2's post-credit scene. But all that ends here. Thor tries to take on Hela with a trademark throw of Mjolnir, but she's powerful enough to stop it mid-air. Worse, she also crushes it into charred little hammer bits, meaning Thor is officially hammerless. No more hammer time, y'all.
Stop! Hammer time!
Considering the big deal that's been made about this hammer and how no one can lift it, or in this case hold it, without being worthy, it makes one wonder just how powerful Hela might actually be. That hammer has always been one of the most powerful objects in the MCU, and it was just turned into a scrap heap. Asgard is dead. We see Hela face off with the whole of Asgard's army on her own, shortly before fire engulfs the entire city. Hela makes the point even clearer with her line.
Asgard is dead.
We've seen Asgard face its fair share of damage in the other Thor films, but we've never seen the City of the Gods actually wiped out. The events here could have a lasting impact on the MCU, especially if it means there are a lot of displaced Norse gods just roaming the galaxy. The new faces. From Robert Redford in Captain America: The Winter Soldier to Glenn Close in Guardians of the Galaxy, the MCU has been attracting its fair share of A-list actors over the past few years. Now, it's time for Jurassic Park alum Jeff Goldblum to make the jump into the Marvel Universe. Here, Goldblum plays the Grandmaster, who seems to be pulling the strings of the super-powered gladiatorial games where Thor finds himself after being captured. Goldblum looks amazing in his costume, and this looks to be one of the most colorful Marvel films to date. The footage here also gives us our first good look at Creed alum Tessa Thompson, an Asgardian warrior who seems to be working for the Grandmaster. Valkyrie will serve as a potential love interest for Thor, with Natalie Portman's Jane Foster off the board. Judging by what we see of her here, it'll be interesting to see how her allegiances are tested along the way. And finally, Karl Urban takes on the role of Scourge, the Executioner, in one of the coolest shoutouts to Thor's comic book past that we've seen on screen. When you see this, the filmmakers are reminding you of the Mighty Thor number 362. In that issue, which comes from the legendary story arc by Walt Simonson in the 80s, the Executioner holds off the hordes of hell with a couple of machine guns and his pure, unfiltered rage. Karl Urban's already a comics-to-film legend for his role in Dredd. Chances seem good he'll go down in history for doing the Executioner justice too. Loki's back. When we last left Loki, he was the secret king of Asgard, having assumed Odin's form at the end of the Dark World. But we see him back in his Tom Hiddleston face here, wielding a few knives during a fight scene. Loki shows up a bit later sitting with the Grandmaster and watching Thor's fight with the Hulk. So, is Loki pulling the strings to keep Thor locked up? Is he there to rescue him? Is he there to just enjoy the show? We can't wait to find out. Heimdall goes rogue. Idris Elba's Heimdall has been a quiet force in all the Thor movies, guarding the Bifrost and generally being a legit badass. But he loses the fancy armor and finds himself flying solo in Ragnarok. The brief shot of Heimdall we see here shows him looking very much like scruffy Idris Elba, but he's still wielding that sword and mowing down bad guys as needed. We've never really seen Heimdall out on his own, seemingly without a Bifrost to defend. Will he eventually join up with Thor to try to retake Asgard? Thor and Hulk reunited. As expected, the best moment is when we finally get a look at Mark Ruffalo's Hulk in full-on World War Hulk attire, ready to take on all comers in the gladiator ring. Yeah, we felt the same way, Thor. We still don't know exactly how Hulk ended up in deep space, or why he seems keen to start wailing on Thor, but this is the first setup of the weirdest buddy movie we never knew we wanted to see. They borrowed Star-Lord's Walkman. Guardians of the Galaxy set the tone for the MCU in regards to how popular music can be used to sell a story, and it seems Thor Ragnarok borrowed a cassette or two from Star-Lord's tape deck, the The entire trailer is set to the rocking beats of Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song, and combined with the neon colors and font book straight out of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, it sets a tone unlike any Thor movie we've seen before, and it looks like the most fun they've had in Asgard in ages. Well, except for all the destruction and stuff. Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.